Good morning, Internet. My name is Jay, and today I'm gonna do a quick review of the new episode that just came out for the Amazing Digital Circus. If you haven't seen this wonderful glitch production series already, be sure to go give it a watch, as this video will contain many spoilers for the show so far. I'm also currently in the process of writing a bigger video on the previous 4 episodes, but I have a fair amount of thoughts on this one. So with all that said, and without further ado, let's just get right into the review.
Mic check.
Episode 5, titled Untitled, is a very interesting set of events. It starts off pretty normal, with the cast all being tuckered out after some sort of water adventure. Kane seems to be having a bit of trouble with finding adventures that the group all enjoy, so he decides the only way to solve this is to make them go on a lightning round. The group will be sent through various adventures from the suggestion box mentioned in episode 4, and as they go along, they can vote to skip or alter things. Right off the bat, there are quite a few things to notice. For one, the animation and visual quality has gotten even better, with Bubble having an entirely new rendering style that I actually kinda dig. There's also some nice continuity with Ragatha, Jax, and Gangle being very reluctant to do another adventure like episode 4 because, well, they were all in their own hell with that one. Before the group gets a chance to relax and talk more, Kane sends them right off to the aforementioned lightning round. I'll delve more into this later, but I have a few problems with the episode's pacing. For right now, it feels like the gang could have had just a minute or two more of dialogue at the start and it would have gone a long way. I mean, we don't even know how Pomni and the others know what Kane is or what his purpose is, and at the kind of halfway point of the series, it would have been nice to get some answers on this and other fan speculation. But I digress. The first and shortly lived adventure, Poacher's Paradise, is one suggested by Jax, and it's just a savannah with all the other casts being animals he gets to kill. Obviously none of them are on board with this and voted out instantly. But they also vote to make Jax vegan. I do like how this very short segment gives a good example of the voting system and foreshadows what Jax is about to face later. He's teased and made the others feel a bit helpless to do much, so having the script be flipped around on him could be a great plot idea. The next adventure is President Pomni. This one is where I sort of expected things to get a little more fleshed out, but it still only lasts a couple minutes or so. I get that this is a lightning round and all, but just the wasted potential in some of this really kills me. There's also a bit of inconsistency here, as Kinger is very clearly in the dark, but seems to still not be all there. I might be wrong on this though, there is a lamp and Kinger does seem to fully know the adventure context, so I very well could have misread this. The adventure just abruptly ends without any conclusion, and the same sort of deal happens with the adventure after this one. It's an anime slice of life type thing that could only be dreamed up by Gangle and ruined by Jax. It does have some good 2D animation though, I'll give it that. Something that I also noticed upon a second watch is that they at least used all of this to consistently drive the main plot. The segments are very quick for my taste, but they feel connected with the consistent narrative of Jax and Ragatha being at a choking point with each other. This plot actually shines with the stargazing adventure, one that has the group go on a nicer picnic type deal while they relax, and the pacing of the episode actually takes a breather. Pomni and Jax talk a bit, sharing a moment similar to episode 4, and Jax almost actually opens up, but resists his emotions as usual. This time Pomni gets comfortable enough to ask a question, and I'll just let this scene speak for itself.
Do you have any actual friends? Not anymore.
What? I'm sorry? This scene changes a lot about Jax, and it pretty much confirms, along with other evidence I'll get to in just a second, that Jax actually knew someone well before Pomni arrived. To be honest, I did not connect 2 and 2 on my first watch, but then I saw this door in the intermission sequence, and sure enough, there's even more hints to this unknown character. Speaking of which, the intermission. This scene is a trip. The colors are vibrant, the visuals are very unique, and unlike anything this show has done before. I was gonna give it a bit of a hard time since it seems to just be filler, but it's honestly the most Gooseworx feeling thing in this whole series so far. There's also that clever hinting at the end I was talking about. I really like the presentation here. The adventure that follows this scene is actually one that I enjoy, mainly because it's not really an adventure in that sense. Everyone actually gets to relax here, and there's more opportunity for character interaction, which they actually do this time. Not a lot of exposition, but more so just answers to speculation. Kind of like how Ragatha said in episode 4 she misses her horses while on the stupid sauce, and here we get real confirmation that she did in fact live on a farm in her human life. Zubul suggested the bar setting because she used to be a bartender and it felt more familiar. Pomni was an accountant, but she also enjoyed exploring abandoned places on YouTube, which could very well be how she found the headset that took her here, and we still sadly get nothing else on Kinger, which is a shame. Pomni mentions Kinger and his wife briefly, but sadly the scene ends right there, with Kinger of course not remembering. This segment is not really bad at all, but it does feel a bit empty. Like, sure, it confirms some things people theorized, but they were clearly setting up something with Kinger that just didn't happen. I get that episode 3 was the Kinger one, but it still feels a bit odd that we as the viewer know more on him than the show's cast. Anyways, after this one, the final adventure here is good old-fashioned softball. Being the longest segment of the episode, I actually like this one a good amount. There's some great gags here, like the team having polar opposites as their rival team that are probably my favorite NPCs out of any adventure so far, Ragatha being scared of the centipede in the audience, and Disappearing Guy singing the national anthem. Hashtag get this dude on American Idol, please. The softball game pretty much continues normally except for when Jax is about to bat and the group make another quick little vote.
What the heck? Who did this?
What? Dude, when I first saw this, I almost choked on my drink. This crap is actually insane. Gangle had the idea to put Jax in a maid outfit for fun, giving him a taste of his own medicine, sort of. That I do like, since Gangle is my favorite character so far in the series, and it's actually amazing watching her give Jax as hard of a time as he did for her in many other episodes. My poor dude is forced to go bat like this, and obviously that goes about as good as one would expect, so he's instantly out. After this, we actually get some more conflict with him and Ragatha that definitely feels like a decent enough ending point to this plot in the episode. They both talk about Pomni while she's sitting right there, acting like she can't think for herself and the other is having some sort of influence on her. It's a classic case of jealousy with Ragatha here. Jax clearly shows signs of changing more and more to where he even wants to be friends with Pomni, but Ragatha is a bit jealous of this. Listen, I'm not going to get involved in any shipping bias during any review before the finale unless it's canon, but if Ragatha has a thing for Pomni, I'm not shocked at all. The conflict ends for now with Ragatha actually apologizing to Jax about the whole no friends thing she mentioned. I'll be honest, this scene had some good emotional beats, and it feels like a satisfying conclusion to the current beef between the two while also leaving it open for more development as the series goes on. Gangle bats and actually does a pretty good job because of Ragatha's help in episode 4, which is a pretty cute callback to that one I can definitely get behind. After this point, King gets bored of waiting for a real game to happen like any good AI, and skips to the end. Jax turns back from his veganism and does this, which gives Pomni a pretty good laugh until Ragatha looks way upset by this. The lightning round ends and Kane has learned absolutely nothing on how to make decent adventures. But the gang at least had a little fun with their ideas. Jax mentioned something he was going to show Pomni in the main hall, and then we're left off with this creepy ass scene of a living mannequin like the ones we've seen in the show before sneaking into the circus. And that's episode 5. I'm not sure where to even start here, honestly. The whole episode feels like a mix of perfect execution and wasted potential in my opinion. The last 3 adventures of this whole ordeal feel more coherent and fleshed out, but the first half is just rough. There's random pick and choose moments of plot inconsistency and actually good continuity. It had been confirmed that the episodes are worked on in batches, so I imagine it's sadly just a lack of time, with episode 6 getting a bit more work than 5. It could also be that the creator and head writer Gooseworx said this episode would be a silly before the storm, that episode 5 would just be a setup for something much bigger to come. Still, it sucks that a character-driven episode focusing on Jax specifically had to be the more filler setup type one. But other than that, it is a pretty alright episode, and not at all bad by any means. Just my least favorite so far, which, in my opinion, is honestly okay. I like this show for what it does good, but I also like it enough to care about pointing out its flaws. My favorite thing about this episode is the visuals, which were pretty awesome here. You can really tell how much the quality has improved, and it's wonderful to see Goose's visions come to life like this. Besides that, even though the episode's plot felt a bit like filler, I do actually have some points to take away from it. I'm gonna be speculating here, but for Jax and his friend, there are some good hints we got for the full story. Just going off on a whim here, I imagine he probably knew this frog character pretty well and maybe even acted totally different with someone who might have liked his mischievous humor. Then they abstracted like any good character I would love to meet in a flashback. This could also be why Jax is so against opening up now. This character could have been the only one he really opened up to for all we know, and for that person to abstract themselves, it probably broke Jax and snapped him into being the rude jerk he is now. He's putting on an act to not completely break down from all this, and that's some genuinely sad stuff right there. So if I had to take away something from this episode, it would be the point that Jax is not a bad person. He's just severely misunderstood, and even broken to an extent. And as for this guy over here, he has a door with a face like his on it, which brings me to believe he may not actually just be the disappearing guy we saw earlier. The disappearing guy could have been a red herring that drives you away from the idea that we could actually have a new character, and again, that's something I see Gooseworx totally doing here. I love the idea of a hidden character that was maybe too scared of the cast and didn't want to say hi right off the bat, but are now just stalking them. This is all just pure speculation, but if it happens, I promise you I'm not psychic, guys, okay? But yeah, that's really all I have to say about Untitled. Overall, I'd give it a 6 out of 10 on my critical scale for being a flawed mess of an episode that, at the same time, feels special in some way. And that's why episode 5 is a decent episode, just not my favorite. If you made it this far and enjoyed the video, thanks for watching. I'm glad I could entertain you with my odd little thoughts and opinions. Be sure to check out more of my videos or projects if you'd like, and I'll see you in the next one. Jay signing off.